Hello, welcome back to Breathe More. I wanted to start today's episode by asking you a simple question. How are you feeling in this moment? Now, this question is so important, and I don't think we are often honest enough to truly answer, to truly pause and think about how am I feeling? And then the other question around that is, why am I feeling this way? That is so much of the work that I do with my clients on helping them identify the why, because we can have some awareness of, okay, I'm feeling anxious. Lately, I've had a client for the last couple of weeks. He's been telling me, I've been feeling dread. I don't know why, but there's like this dread within myself. And what I always tell my clients is that emotions, they are trying to give us information. They're clues to what is truly going on. But it's up to us to create the space, the time, and the permission to do that work, to do that feeling, actual feeling, to do the embodiment, to find out why you're feeling that way. And it's so important, yet we all live very busy lives. There's things pulling us in a lot of directions. And for me, growing up, I actually didn't feel safe feeling so many of my emotions. I got in trouble when I was feeling or expressed certain emotions. So, my journey, a big part of my healing, has been in feeling safe, feeling, connecting, voicing, and expressing my emotions. We can try to ignore them. That's what I was taught. Like, just ignore the fact that you're upset or don't be upset, just be happy. But it doesn't go away. And the other thing around that, and this is something recently that I encountered with a private client where we are in denial. And I don't really think it's so much denial, but rather as a way to protect ourselves from experiencing pain, we don't want to revisit perhaps painful situations. And the reminder I always give my clients is in this moment, you are in pain. And a big part of the reason why you are in pain is because of the past that hasn't fully healed, or your brain hasn't fully completed the loop and it thinks it's still going on, your unconscious mind. And so that is what we're going to be talking about and also putting into practice. So I also want to do an exercise with us to connect with it and show you some of the work that I do with my one-on-one clients and also that I've been doing lately in my Dream Bigger Mastermind, because the first couple of weeks in Mastermind is about the healing and reprogramming. You cannot accomplish your goals if you are feeling doubtful, afraid, if you're procrastinating, if you're self sabotaging, if you're feeling anxious, if you're hiding behind busy work that actually isn't going to get you results. And so, what we've been doing is uncovering what part of us is feeling unsafe, what part of us is not fully on board with our desires. Why are you feeling what you're feeling? So let's start by talking about why it can be challenging to listen to your emotions. As I shared for me personally, I was taught from a young age to be quiet, to not get upset, to be very still, to be obedient. I could not express anger. I couldn't have a tantrum. And so much of my life, I had repressed emotions. I had, pushed them down, thought that I had been over it. Yet there would be moments in my life where then I would be passive aggressive, or how I would react to a situation was way bigger than what actually was happening in front of me. And it was really confusing. So, inviting you in this moment to create a pause and just to think about, what were you taught or mirrored when you were younger around your emotions? Were you able to express them? Were you mirrored with your caretakers, like healthy expression of emotions, processing, nervous system regulation? If you're my age, if you're a millennial or older, probably not, right? All of these conversations I feel are so new. And unfortunately, our parents didn't necessarily have tools to give that to us, especially if you are from a background similar as me, who comes from immigrant parents. Like they are still in survival mode. My whole upbringing has been survival mode. So there's been all of this dysregulation that not only I was witnessing, but also experienced for myself. And there were no spaces for the regulation to happen. And so, as you're thinking about, all right, this is what I experienced as a child around my emotions or how I was feeling, whether I had permission to express them or not. Now, taking a moment to think about my initial question at the very, very beginning, like, how are you feeling in this moment? How comfortable do you feel with that emotion? Are you fully able to connect with it? Or is your brain and maybe even your body just trying to minimize it, push it back down, not wanting to go there? Our emotions are information. They are a signal that perhaps something isn't right, that something needs your attention. It's an invitation for us to slow down, to reflect, and to give yourself some love, some compassion. And one of the most powerful ways that I help my clients connect with their emotions, express them, process them, and what I also do for myself is by using breath work, is by connecting with your breath, because you are creating that pause. And then you're creating that space. And then you're creating that regulation because you're doing an active breathing pattern. And so I love guiding my clients. It's amazing to witness their shift in energy from when we first start our calls, of them telling me how the week came up, how they have been feeling. For example, going back to that dread, I started to ask him questions and then guided him to connect with his breath, with his body, to identify where that dread was living, to be able to start to speak to it on why it's there. What is it afraid of? Is there an inner part of him that's feeling this dread? Is there another emotion behind that emotion? And so what we uncovered was a past trauma that is still there. It hasn't been resolved. And his 20-year-old self was freaking out given the current situation that he's in. It made him think of the past unconsciously. Having that awareness and that breakthrough and that connection shifted his energy. You could tell that now he felt empowered. He's like, oh my gosh, yes, this is why. And so even with that feeling, that emotion that was signaling to him, hey, I'm feeling unsafe. This feels familiar to what we've experienced in the past. That was not good. I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to warn you, like, let's not go there, or let's change that, or what can we do? Well, then that also took that dread away, like the power that it had over him. It started to dissipate because now he was shining a light on it. Now he had the additional information on why he was feeling the way he was feeling. I'll share with you another example from my Dream Bigger Mastermind folks. So, we have set intentions. We're in our fourth call right now. And this last week, we looked to see which inner part, if any, is not fully aligned with their goals. And so we're identifying the gap of how much of themselves believes that they can realize this goal and what part of them doesn't believe or isn't confident that they can achieve that goal. And so, again, that exercise was just so empowering for folks because they were like, oh, there's a part of me that feels, yes, of course we can do that. Like we've done it before. Why wouldn't we be able to do it? And then they were able to identify, oh, this anxiety that I've been feeling lately, or this panic that has come up because I got laid off and I don't know what I'm doing next. that part of me is feeling really panicked and isn't allowing me to actually enjoy my current manifestation, which was time off, because it's thinking and it's trying to prevent us from this other thing to happen. So, for this example, they had made this promise to themselves when they were teenagers that they were not going to be like a certain family member. And so then that meant that they were going to hustle, that they were going to not settle. And that teenage self, now that they are currently unemployed, was very activated and was feeling panicked and unsafe. When she realized that in the guided practice, then that inner part of her, that anxiety, that panic, that need to take action right away and continue to be busy and then make herself feel guilty if she wasn't being fully productive and doing the things that she needed to do in order to get a job. See how there was all this tension? She wasn't allowing herself to receive and fully enjoy the manifestation that she asked for to begin with. And so, this process of connecting with the emotions and tapping into the wisdom of her body, connecting with those deeper parts of herself, was allowing to finally complete that pattern, that trauma response, that activation. And then that created space to see things differently, to give herself permission to enjoy this time off, to rest, at the same time to reconnect with the self-trust that no matter what, she's always figured it out. It's never gotten to a point where she's been completely broke or homeless or whatever it may be. Yet there was that unconscious fear that was freaking out and telling her, you gotta do more, you're being lazy, like, how dare you? This is why this work is so important, so that we can also then just be in the present moment versus constantly living in the fear or in the future and not enjoying what we have in front of us. So let's do an exercise together. If you're able to in this moment, close your eyes if you're not totally fine. And let's start to connect with our breath. So as you're taking a deep inhale in and out, imagining that with your breath, and if you want to physically move your body, release shoulders, move your neck, shake your hands, help your body start to release the tension. And then with this next inhale, again, connecting with your emotions. And we're not going to judge them. So, what is this emotion? What is this feeling? Can you also identify where it's living in your body? And next, what is this emotion trying to tell you? So have a conversation with it. What is it afraid of? What is it trying to protect you from? What is it trying to warn you about? And continue to go deeper with it. With that as well, then can you identify whose voice is that? Is it present you or is it a younger you? Or does it sound like a caretaker, a parent, or your partners or your friend or your manager who's constantly projecting their fears, their worries, their scarcity? Just allow that voice, those emotions to speak. Thanking it for giving you the information, thanking it for trying to protect you. And then the next part, and this is where the healing comes into place. Still breathing, still with your eyes closed. Now, current you, we're going to do some reparenting. Present you acting like a big sibling or a parent figure. Validate the emotions of the voice that was feeling afraid, unsafe, unloved. And then what's a different way of viewing it? What's a different perspective? What's some reassurance that you can give to this voice, to this inner part? And as you're speaking and giving a different way of looking at things to this inner part, see, imagine, sense that this other part of you is starting to soften, starting to feel less anxious, less worried, starting to feel calmer, maybe more open, more relaxed. And then when that happens, you are also feeling this way. And then lastly, before we come back, maybe giving yourself some affirmations, some reminders, giving yourself a little pep talk. We're going to figure it out. It's all going to work out. I trust myself. I believe in myself. And once that feels complete, let's take another deep breath in and out, in and out, and one more, and out. Beautiful. And now taking a moment to check in with your body, with your emotions. How are you feeling now? Hopefully, you are now feeling calmer, clear, lighter, more empowered. And that's a work, that's a quick example of how you can do some self coaching, some self healing. If you need support doing this, I love doing this work. So feel free to reach out. I'm currently taking some one on one clients before the end of the year. So this would be a great work to put this into practice and to do that deep healing so that you can now show up in your life feeling confident and free and open, everything that you desire with more possibility versus with the dread and the worry and the anxiety and the panic and the scarcity. So, next time you feel a strong emotion, don't judge it, don't push it away, don't bury it. Create some time in your day to pause, to breathe, to name it, to feel it, to comfort it, so that you can process that emotion and uncover what insights are there for you, right? What information it's trying to give you. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you found this helpful and that it resonated with you. Let me know what emotion was present, what emotion was trying to get your connection. Send me a DM, send me an email. I always love hearing from you. And again, if you're needing additional support, one on one support, if you're currently going through a life transition, if you're currently wanting to change your reality, please reach out. We can do a free consultation call so I can learn more about what you're going through, what you look to gain, and I will let you know how I can support you. All right, friends, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back next week. Have a good one.